Well, hey there, friends and neighbors. Been a long time since I've done one of these story time videos. A lot has happened since then. Back in October 2014, we went down to Alabama for my friend Kevin's wedding, and leading up to that, I had done a number of stories pertaining to Kevin in anticipation for his wedding. While we were there, I managed to catch my great-uncle Ricky telling some of his best stories, and so I went on hiatus from telling the stories for a little while to kind of revamp my storytelling method. And now, it is 2015. It's been almost a year since I have released a video of me telling a story. And a lot of things have happened. Katie and I have been out to Canada. We've been back. We are pregnant now. Got a little child on the way. And with a little bit of free time here at the house, I figured it's time to pick things back up, tell some more stories. And the series I'm about to release is going to be the story of how the John T Ray Experience came to be. So let's dive into it, shall we? So in 2004, we were still doing wrestling. 2XW was still operating pretty heavily, weekly basis and all this. And but of course, between school and wrestling being one day a week and not having really anywhere to go yet, I had a car at this point, but wasn't a lot going on. I had a lot of free time on my hands, and I got to watching this old video that my Uncle Ricky had actually made, my great-uncle Ricky. It was a movie he had made back in probably the early 80s, I would imagine, called Rummy Jones. Now, Rummy Jones is a story of an ex-wino who is helping a gentleman named Merlin Carter, who's a renowned hunter, capture and relocate a rare red wino.
Well, guys, you got a snake in there.
Oh yeah, I go Hector there. Put Hector in there to keep the rats out of my peanuts.
And all kind of funny jokes and things going on in Rummy Jones.
You don't fish, but
you don't run your mouth.
And I had always really held Rummy Jones in high esteem. Thought it was really funny.
Nice figure you got there. Thank you.
For spring break that same year, 2004, my friends and I had gotten together and we had made a little mock horror show, mock slasher show called Thursday the 12th. And shot it over spring break, did a few pickup shots afterwards, spent a week out at my dad's house editing it, and then took it to the school to show a test audience to the school and in my drama class, and they all loved it, thought it was hilarious, just the funniest thing ever. So I had been kind of in my mind starting to gear up for the next production, big movie that I wanted to do, and there was an idea to do an Indiana Jones spoof and call it Alabama Jones. Well, before that could come together, I was at the house one day, and my buddy Josh had stopped by, and I had been watching Rummy Jones, and the Crocodile Hunter was still big at the time, Steve Irwin. And we had the camera out, and I said, I'm bored, you're bored, we're all bored. Why don't we shoot this little, funny documentary style, Crocodile Hunter style thing, but it's in the suburbs, and we're, catching people and chasing squirrels and trying to catch the cat, and dumb things like that. So I threw on an old leather hat that I had and a camo jacket, and I said, he turned on the camera, and I said, hey, welcome to the John T Ray Experience.
Looking for the most rare critters in the world, Millbrook is home to some of the most exotic thingies that this world has ever seen. Today, we're hoping to see domestic house cats, fish, people, and if we're lucky, maybe a cop.
Chase a squirrel around, chase the cat around. My brother Charlie was big into LSU football at the time, and he had his shirt on, so we called him the LSU fan. Chased him through the woods and captured him. In the midst of us filming this, my stepsister Katie had come back. She had been living there in Alabama with us for a while, and she had been back to Florida, but had come back that day and actually walked out into the back after arriving while we were filming. And I tackled her and called her, oh, this is a Floridian, you know, you don't usually see those around here.
In Alabama.
Looks like a kitty creature.
I haven't seen one of these in Alabama for 3 weeks.
So the whole thing was just a stupid, fun little way to pass time in an afternoon. But then a couple weeks later, I said, well, let's do a second one. This was now with my friend Landon, who I had met through Josh, that had helped me on the first one. And this time, instead of the camo jacket, I threw on an old pleather jacket that I had, and I got out an old Pokeball toy because I'd been into Pokemon.
Well, hey there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the John Ray Experience #2. Today, we're experimenting with a special tool that's just come out. They call this the Pokeball.
Ran around trying to catch things with the Pokeball. It was supposed to be this new tool from Japan that you could catch things with. We had a peacock in our yard at that time. The peacock had belonged to someone in town, but it had ran away from their property and came to ours. We had a chicken coop, and the peacock would hang out with the chickens. The guy came back to get his peacock a couple of times, but it just kept coming back to our property, so that our property became where this peacock lived. So I tried to catch the peacock in the Pokeball, and tried to catch some chickens in the Pokeball. And then my sister came out and helped us, and Landon took up the role as the water Landonmon, and I tried to catch him out of the pool. So a little while after that, my buddy Jeremy had seen, I don't remember if he had seen him or if he'd heard that we had done them, but he had heard about it and said, I want to be in a John T Ray Experience. So we did another one where Jerry, his mom used to call him her Jer Bear, playing off Care Bear. So we created this creature called a Jer Bear, which Jeremy was supposed to be, and it's this big, evil creature. Not evil, it's a big, vicious carnivore, but it has this growl that emits a wave that makes you crap your pants.
Elusive critter, indigenous to this part, I should say. We're gonna see if today we can't track him down. Let's go.
So JTR goes looking for the Jer Bear, and he runs into an LSU fan, and then the LSU fan and the Jer Bear end up fighting, and
Oh God! Oh God! Oh God! This is amazing, ladies and gentlemen! The LSU fan and the elusive Jer Bear! This is animal footage in the raw!
you know, just fun little ways to pass the afternoon.
That's it for the John T Ray Experience this week. Join us next week when something else is gonna happen. Woo! Woo! My hat! Go!
And to this point, that's all it was, is just us screwing around. We had the John T Ray Experience Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3. So my buddy was failing a class at school, and I had been in that same boat with my physics class, and my teacher had allowed me to create a video explaining some kind of physics principle, which garnered me the grade I needed to pass. Josh, who had helped me out on the first JTR Experience, was in the same boat, and so I had gotten him together over at the house to create a video for him so that he could pass. It was the same teacher. Well, while we were there, Felipe was there helping us out, and he needed to create a video for a class on valedictory. So I did that for him. Well, he had this idea that the video should be a couple seconds of him talking, and then this long, drawn-out music video of him doing random, stupid stuff, followed by him answering the questions. So it was really kind of nonsensical. Well, one of the things he wanted to do for that long, drawn-out music video part was run through the woods naked. So we took a couple shots of him doing that, and we made the comment that it kind of looks like the old Patterson-Gimlin footage of Bigfoot, of him running through the... And I said, well, what if we did a JTR Experience episode where JTR is looking for the great El Foot Grande, Bigfoot, and Felipe can come on and be a co-host. Up to this point, it had just been me, and everyone else who came on had played a creature of sorts. But I said, what if Felipe is my co-host, and we run around looking for the El Foot Grande. Well, we had run around in the woods around my house to death on the JTR Experience so far.
We are in the beautiful Mexip Brook, and since it's an uncharted part of town we hadn't been in before, today I decided I'd bring along my good buddy who's familiar with the site. His name's Jorge, and he's gonna be with us for the duration of the trip today. How you doing, Jorge?
So we get down to the park. Felipe is of Filipino descent, but everyone always confused him for Mexican, which he always used to screw with people about. So we decided, well, let's play on that. Let's say that this park is called Mexabrookia, playing off Mexico and Millbrook, and that it's some kind of little third world country in the middle of Alabama, and Felipe can be my guide and carry me through, and I'll run into all these faux pas situations and not understand the culture and everything, and it'll be funny that way. And at the end, we end up finding El Foot Grande, and we'll run that footage of him running naked through the woods over it. So we get out to the park, and we do this whole section where there's these creatures called nose biters that look like squirrels. You know, in America, they're called squirrels, and here they're vicious nose biters. We do some searching for El Foot Grande.
I've been wondering, are we anywhere close to the El Foot Grande's nesting sites? Or does that
We are on our way, but we don't want to get there too fast because, as you see, there is still a little bit of light out, and he only comes out when there's only a little bit less than a little bit of light out.
Well, darn it.
The big playground part there, we called the Ancient Temple, and foreigners are not allowed, so Felipe said he's going to have to sneak me into the temple. So we go into the temple and we start doing our spiel where there's a couple little kids there playing, and then there's this group of teenagers who were just kind of, I don't know, I guess one of their siblings had a ball game and they were just hanging out at the park. And Felipe had called one of the little kids a shrine keeper while we had the camera rolling, and said that he's trained in great Mexabrookian art of self-defense, and that I couldn't look him in the eye because he would beat me up. Well, I walked over to the kid and looked him in the eye. Well, the kid he just thought it was all funny, and just laughed at me. And I turned back to Felipe and said, see, it's no big deal. You can look him in the eye, it's not a problem. The teenagers were sitting over there watching all this and kind of giggling. And I looked at the child and I looked at Felipe and I said, look, I bet I can even look the big kids in the eye. And I walked over to the teenagers and started looking them in the eye. And I started whispering to him, come on, hit me, knock me down, hit me, knock me down, because that would have been funny for the episode. Jeremy is working camera. Felipe is standing by Jeremy with the camera as they're watching me walk up to these random teenagers, look them in the eye. They couldn't hear me saying, hit him, or hit me. And when they didn't, they weren't sure of what to do, so they didn't do anything. So I turned around to Jeremy and Felipe and said, see, it's no big deal. And I said, watch this. So I turned back around to one of the kids, and I literally took my hands and went whap, 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 and smacked him on the face a couple of times. Well, after that, he lurched forward and pushed me, and I rolled back and sold it and everything. And oh my gosh, they are dangerous. And we left. So we continue on through the episode. We chase the cat out of the river.
Very still.
Stand very still.
Let's see if we're down in.
Okay.
It can't smell us anymore.
Okay, catch me.
Its eyesight is not very good, but it smells just like that of a silverback gorilla.
We encountered the stick snake of the Mexabrook River. And we were at this older building. Now see, this was all improv, so at times we didn't really know. To this point, it had just been documentary style. We hadn't really been telling a coherent story. So ending these episodes would become something that you would just kind of have to figure out on the fly. Well, luckily this time it all worked out because those teenagers were still watching us. And as we're playing on this old building, they start trying to sneak up on us. Well, of course, we see them sneaking up on us.
We will be fine.
Here's something.
We start trying to speak loudly so they can hear what we're saying so that they can work it into the story. Well, they chased me down, threw me on the ground, and took my hat, and then ran off. We cut the camera, and they never came back. Jeremy and Felipe at this point are like, these kids need an attitude adjustment, so we're gonna go beat them up. So we walk back to the playground, and Jeremy and Felipe are like ready to roll in their guns blazing and kick some kid's ass. And I was like, this may not be a great idea. So I said, wait, Jeremy, take the camera, turn it on. And I rolled in there and I saw the kids and I said, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a fight scene. We're gonna do a fight scene. And Jeremy and Felipe are like, what? Yeah, we're gonna do a fight scene. We're gonna do a fight scene. And convinced the kids to do a fight scene with us. So Jeremy had the camera back in his hands, thankfully. So Felipe and I roll in.
Sir, senor, you must pay the toll to get across the bridge. This is the magical ferry gatekeeper.
Well, what do I have to give him? Does he take American money?
He takes high five.
We do this big fight scene. The kids want to draw it out. We're trying to film an episode of the JTR Experience, so we want it to go quick. Finally, we wore ourselves out, and Felipe did this peace call so that they would bring the hat back. And they did, and then we did a little epilogue, shaking hands with the temple warriors and all this. And so finally, we have the hat back, and we walked off into the woods. We found El Foot Grande.
There he is.
My goodness.
Look at... Oh!
He's running!
He's running!
He's running!
It's a...
No!
It's the Rare Majestic! Oh! That was amazing!
That was an awesome sight.
Awesome.
That episode ended up being so funny and so fun to everyone who watched it that we were all of a sudden like, okay, we have a hit here. So at the time, I had some of my editing equipment at my mom's house, but I had some over at my girlfriend at the time's house as well. Went over to her house and was editing the first episode one night, and I typed up, the title, The John T Ray Experience. I misspelled experience. I put an A in it instead of an E. My buddy Josh comes over, who had helped me with the first episode, and said, you spelled it experience. And I'm like, no. I didn't want to admit that I had screwed up, and I'm like, no, that's my gimmick. You know how like Korn, the band, spells it Korn? Yeah, the experience with an A, that's my gimmick, so people can find me. And he said, oh, okay, whatever, sure. So that was how the John T Ray Experience started.